Like there was hits and moments in this where like I was talking to the TV. That's pretty edgy for a thing that's meant for kids.
We love it all. We're Acolyte fans now. No. I saw the hat and I saw like what's under the brim and I'm like, that looks cool. And you drew that?
Yeah. So the eyes are actually from, I don't know if you can see there, the vampire right here.
No. No
Yeah.
way.
Mm.
Can I see it more like the eyes? Can you
Oh
hold
yeah.
that part up? Bro,
He's a talented dude.
that's cool. I love that hat.
Yeah, that's one of
I'm
my
like,
favorites.
I need a hat because it's happening.
It's happening.
I need to
Yeah.
get one. I need to cut my hair, but yeah,
Is your hair thinning, Rob?
it has been for like 25 years.
25
Yeah, it is, it
years.
is.
With each
I need
passing year, yeah.
a
Yeah.
toupee. I shed too.
You shed?
Yeah, like if I'm like stressed out and I'm sitting in
Oh
front of my
yeah.
computer like this, my keyboard is full of hair. It's been like
No.
that. It's been like that for my whole life.
What?
It's like
What did you do to him, Marie? Why'd you stress him out?
Yeah, Marie. It's
It's
like
my
basil on my
fault.
keyboard or whatever his name is, like the sniffer.
From movies to video games, welcome back to Replays It All. We got Rob, we have George, and we are here again. You know it. We added again, The Acolyte, episode 5, right?
Yes.
I'm really excited to talk about this one because
I
there's
am
things.
too. I got notes.
Me too. I have notes and I'm excited. Okay, George, let's just do what we always do. Tell us what this episode's about, and then we'll get into our likes and dislikes.
Thank God this is not an aftermath episode. It continues right where the other one left off. We are in
Yeah.
the battle with the Sith Master and the Jedi, and this is a climactic situation where we're finding out who is who, what is going on. Mysteries are getting solved. Maybe not so much the mystery of the Jedi and the witches, but at least the mystery of the Sith Master is finally revealed, and we know what's going on.
Yes.
Let's
And you
get
guys
into
called
it.
it. You
We
guys called
totally
it
did.
too.
Yeah, we nailed it.
You
The
called a
internet
few
did.
things. The internet did, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna start off because I think we're all gonna share this sentiment about something that I liked.
For the good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the good stuff. I actually had goosebumps with that opening scene with the fight, the lightsaber battle. I actually really liked it.
What?
I did. I liked the force pulling of the Jedi making a Jedi shish kebab. I really like that.
Yes.
I really like the headbutting of the lightsaber and the sparks flying. The choreography was actually much better than I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh god, it's going to be so bad. And I was like, ooh, this is actually pretty good. Some of the editing looked a little weird and choppy, and I was wondering if that was just like the way it looked to me, but I liked that opening lightsaber battle scene. I did. What about you guys? How'd you guys feel about that scene?
Yeah, same here. You pretty much took some of my notes there where I was like, lightsaber death of the Jedi being pulled into it, awesome. Using the helmet as a weapon, as a
Yes.
defensive weapon was really cool. Every fight was actually handled decently well. The
Mm-hmm.
choppiness, I think, was kind of an issue to me too, especially going back and forth between the fight and the chase
Oh,
between
yeah.
Jackie and May. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like kind of ruined momentum a little bit within the fight, but the fight itself, it elevated with each next, like it's almost like the Sith Master was going through like a fighting game, and you're fighting each level and you're going to
Mm.
the next harder person. That's how it felt. And with each person,
Yes.
the death escalated. And I liked that. Like I liked the scenes of how each of them died. And like I hate to say it, but I actually kind of felt it with some of them. What?
Me
Like
too.
the episodes didn't build it up enough for me to really feel for them, but this episode, I think, did a good job with handling each of them.
It was shocking to me. I was like, oh, well, Rob messaged me I know where I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but Rob messaged me a couple days ago and he's like, I think Jackie's gonna die. And I was like, really? And he's like, yes. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, Robbie was right. And then when I saw the Yord thing, I was like, Robbie's gonna be so sad. Yord. I wasn't expecting that. I thought that he was gonna be a much bigger part of this show. So the deaths actually kind of shocked me, where I wasn't like, oh, I love that character. I was just like, oh, they just did that and in
Yeah.
pretty violent ways. Yeah.
Yeah, they were good scenes. Like the visual
Mhm.
of Jackie, like not seeing her in the front, but like that back of the that was so freaking cool. I thought that was so badass. Actually,
Mhm.
even I wrote this down, like when he broke apart his lightsaber into two separate lightsabers, and it became almost like an Eskrima kind of fighting technique, which I thought was kind of cool because he's a Filipino in real life, and that's a
Mhm.
Filipino fighting style. So to like cater that to his character, and that's how he took her out, I thought that was kind of creative and really cool. And then Yord's death was just brutal. I'm not used to seeing something that brutal in a Star Wars story, you know. And Star Wars can get brutal, but like that felt visceral, honestly. And like
Mhm.
I really I was like, wow, I'm kind of glad they took a chance. Like that's pretty edgy for a thing that's meant for kids. You know, a kid just saw a guy get his neck snapped. That's damn. That's
I have all the same points written down. Like
Mhm.
for instance, Jackie's death. I thought that scene was great. I was like, oh my gosh, that was sad, but that was cool. And as you know, like you said, like Yord, I like Yord. And I wanted to like Jackie more because she's supposed to be the cute, quirky one. I don't think they built her up quite enough, but it sucked that she died because she came in strong. She was badass fighting May.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really liked her. And then she died. And I'm like, they went for it. They killed some of these characters. I think the two of the best characters were killed. My two my two favorite were killed. The shish kebab, I rewound it to watch that again because I was like, did he really just pull him in like that? So I had to check it, like watch again. I'm like, damn, that's badass. I liked him. Like, come here. I I loved his acting, and the
Yeah.
dude brought passion to that character. I mean, this guy is a Sith. I loved whatever that means in the universe now, but I'm not sure yet. But I loved how he just leaned into all of his lines, and all the strikes were visceral. They were strong. Um, they were hard. So I love the choreography too. Yeah, and that he had the two lightsabers was cool.
Yeah.
Um, I thought that was fantastic. So I really enjoyed the fight scenes. Yeah, you're right. It was a bit choppy at certain points. And I kind of felt that, but I was geeking out though. I'm like, this is good. This is good. This is simple. This is good. I'm enjoying it. I also really loved May's attempt to persuade Osha to like reunite with her. I thought some of those lines are really powerful, like, return to yourself, choose me, choose us. All we have is each other now. I thought she said a lot of really powerful lines to kind of bring her back, to bring her in, to take her, to her perspective. May seem kind of like a sociopath a little bit, the way she was very manipulative. I really like that. I was glad that Pip's not gone. My third favorite character. And um Basil or Basil
Feel.
can have play a greater role than just the cute little hamster because he's going to be able to smell that that's not Osha,
Yeah.
that that's May. I think that's cool. Like he's going to be woven into the plot a little bit better. I like that.
Yeah, I loved all those opening points. I want to say one more thing that I actually liked, and I kind of really liked that Jedi fist fight brawl, Jedi Sith, where they were like punching each other and everything like that. Like, I don't know, do we see that where a Jedi's like they're like brawling? Do we see that a lot? No, right?
No, no, it's mostly just like they're fighting with their weapons. I would have loved
Yeah,
if they used more force attacks though, because I feel like that's something that would happen. And the fact that they
yeah.
just didn't do that. But at the same time, I I actually kind of liked it a bit too, I found. Like as I watched it, I didn't, because they weren't using force attacks. It was too martial artsy, and it's like I don't think of martial arts like heavily when I think of Star Wars. But I really I kind of like pulled myself back, and I was like, Saul is being very emotional right now. And
Yes.
within that emotion, he's obviously lost some connection with his center and his force. And so now he's just giving like his whole physical essence in this battle because he's just seen his family get murdered in front of him. You know, like you see him getting pissed off, you know. And Khmer, like he's a Sith. He's gonna do whatever it's gonna take to win this battle. So seeing him fight hand to hand made sense, you know. So like taking myself back, I was like, all right, this makes sense. I actually really like this now. This is really cool. I appreciate what's happening here, especially if we find out later on that maybe Saul did do something really bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he is hiding a darkness of his own. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it'd be kind of cool if out of nowhere Saul becomes a freaking Sith. That'd be awesome. You know,
Yeah.
just really flip it on us. You know, and it doesn't really necessarily join Khmer, but maybe he does his own thing.
Well, they're definitely leading to something like that. They're hinting that you've done bad stuff, you have a dark side, all this stuff. And you're right. I like that. It seemed to be more of like a fight of passion, not thinking about being centered, using the force and using the powers. They were like fighting as men there. They were just
Yeah.
like, I'm not a Jedi right now. I'm an angry, passionate man, and I'm fighting this dude. Like it just felt really raw.
You killed my
And
kids.
exactly. I think he was just taking. Oh, I liked that. I mean, we don't see it very much. Maybe it's out of Jedi character, but like they're kind of like leading to the hinting at that he's not always in Jedi character, right? There's other things about him. So
To what you were saying, Rob, about some of the dialogue and what they were saying, like I liked how Khmer used the use of the word "it" was used a bit within this episode, and I liked how Khmer used it towards Jecki.
cool.
And like, and you know, he's like, you know, she was a child or she was whatever youngling, and he's just like, oh, is that what you call it? And like just showing like how he is separated from humanity. You know, he is
Yes.
not connected with personal feelings and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to how they used it towards him, where it's just like the Jedi, I don't think would have called him an it. They should have called him he should have been a they. He should have been a person. You know, it's like, what's up with them? What are they doing? That's what they should have been classifying him as. By turning him into an it also shows that they have no connection now to humanity
Mm,
and these people and what they are, like what's their motive and stuff like that. So I thought that was interesting, that the use of that word and how it was used greatly and poorly at the same time.
hmm I like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
use
and
on Jecki.
in the previous episode when they said, "What is that?"
hmm
That's really interesting. The like the that and the it, those identifiers and the dehumanization that can come along with that.
Yeah.
That's really
hmm
cool.
What else did you guys have for anything that you liked in this episode? Because I think that those were my favorite things about it. I actually was entertained in this episode. I think it's the best episode so far, and because it actually gave me like joy and feeling. But is there what else in this episode that you guys liked? Is there anything else?
There was one little thing. It's not like a big thing, but I kind of like squeed when Jackie did like a missile bomb drop kick to
Mm,
May. I was like, oh shit. Like there was hits and moments in this where like I was talking to the TV and I was like, all right, you've done something now. You've got me doing something that I don't do often.
Man, I'm trying to remember the name of the move, but Khmer did two step jabs with his lightsaber. There's like
Very
and
fencing like, right?
I this is why I just can't remember. I did fencing when I was like 15 for like a year, right? And doing those like jabs and oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And when I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, I like that," because that kind of broke up the, passionate aggressive slashing with these like two little, tactical jabs. I thought that was so cool. Just that little moment too, like those little remember I said death by a thousand cuts?
Yeah. Yeah.
These little
mhm.
things just kept piling on, these cool little moves here and a very deliberate, beautiful choreography. Even the way Khmer was like hiding his face, like for the reveal, but we knew who it was going to be. But still, like I love
Yeah.
the way he held himself. I also liked the way May cut her hair.
What?
Did you think it was cool, Marie?
I
I
guess not.
hated it. I thought it was so cheesy.
I thought it
With
look,
it,
it is
no, oh my god,
objectively
the epic haircut off with the song.
I
no, this
like
is
the cut.
too cringe.
I like the way it was cut. I know, but I it was so dramatic. I just thought it was cool.
I was mixed because I felt it was cringy myself, but at
Yeah.
the same time, like the hesitation was almost like you saw her almost like contemplating, like if she was gonna do this like now, like, am I gonna become her and infiltrate the Jedi? Like I felt like she was really debating whether she was gonna follow through with this decision.
Well,
I understand.
Marie's like, no.
No, no, it was so cringy. People
didn't
are gonna
dig
make
it.
fun of it. It could even be a meme, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I was like, that is way jumping the shark. But I like stuff like that sometimes when it's just like way over melodramatic. I did. But oh, do you think it would have been interesting if the audience didn't know that May took Osha's position?
Oh yeah.
Like if some way, I don't know how you'd film it, but May comes back, Osha comes back, and it's really May. I was wondering if tricking the audience, if that would be possible, or if that would be interesting. So we don't know that May took Osha's position. Somehow you'd have to film that, but
Yeah, I don't know how they would pull it off because we've been seeing May with long hair, you know? So like how long could they pull it off? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because the next episode we see Osha with Kamir and she'd have short hair and we'd be like, all right, they're not there, they've switched places now,
yeah,
you know?
And the
But
tattoo and
I
all
thought
that.
about that myself. I thought about that for a second. It's like, man, I would wish they could have like fooled us for a second.
hmm
But at the same time, I was like, yeah, but that hair's gonna be a dead giveaway. Which is how I felt with Kamir as the Sith, because I've been in conversations outside of our show with other people and stuff online, and a lot of
How
people were
dare
like
you?
hardcore were like, oh, it's the mothers, it has to be the mothers. And the more I thought about it, because I watched the last few minutes of last week's episode again because I wanted to see his hands. I noticed that his
yes,
hands were exposed. I was like,
hmm
those are man hands. And
yeah,
like as the first like 5 minutes of this battle, I was like, those are man arms. I was
Yeah.
like, I know that's a dude. Like if that mask comes off and all of a sudden it's a woman, I'm like, what the hell just happened?
They did a good job of making Kamir look really frail and everything. And like I wasn't expecting those arms to be jacked like that. When
Yeah,
I saw them, I was like, okay, because he was always like hunched over, and I thought he'd be like real thin and stuff under there. They hid that well. They hid that well.
yeah. No, once he was like unmasked and like just his regular garb and everything, he felt really badass.
he
Like
did,
Yeah.
he
I
did.
like he did an excellent job. Like I've liked the DeCento guy since The Good Place, but like he plays a character in that's like a doofy, like pothead stoner, dumb as hell, but a heart of gold. You would never see him as a Sith master evil guy. And just seeing that switch, I was like, oh man, this is a new guy. I'm so glad to see him stretch his legs now and really like show us what he can do. And like just the physicality, like, surely he looked like a frail dude. When you saw him at the apothecary shop, it's like, well, that guy can't fight, right? And then all of a sudden, in this episode, the way he's like, it's like what I talked about episode one. In the first episode, when we saw May, her demeanor and how she stood was not intimidating. It wasn't like I don't believe you're gonna like do anything bad to me. But the way he changed and flipped it and his stance, the way he was just there and posing, it's like that's what I'm talking about. That's how you use your body just without even talking or moving. Like you could see he's a force to be reckoned with just from standing still. No stupid poses or anything like that. He's just there to freaking take your ass out. I'm happy. I'm really happy with this episode.
He's definitely my favorite character. I think he's the best actor in the whole show too. Like his performance, like
Yeah.
he's
hmm
crushing it. Uh and you're right with the demeanor. It's like I can't stand May's whole demeanor. Every time she's on screen, I'm like, ugh. Like just like her
Yeah.
whole like the way she stands and her head and her face. I'm just like, oh, I
The cocked
remember.
head.
Well,
Yeah.
remember George, and you were like, I don't like that actress's face. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, she was. But now I'm like, I can't stand it. Every time she's on screen as May, I'm like, oh, like, do you have to be so? I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it now.
All right. How about that walk?
Yes.
That walk at the end of the episode when she's
Hey.
walking towards her sister after she threw her away with the force. Just all like, it's like, why are
Oh
you walking
no.
like that? No one can see you. No one can see you walking like this. This is just for you. It
Hey
makes no
man,
sense.
she got swag even for the trees. Amandla, walk bad. No, give more swag, more hips in that.
Is that everything that we liked? Can we move on to dislikes, or is there anything else? Yeah. Okay, Rob, I want to hear some stuff that you didn't like about this episode.
I thought it was clear that we love it all. We're Acolyte fans now. No. One of the things that I was kind of confused about, and maybe you can help clarify it for me, was Kamir's motive and what the Sith are and what he was trying to explain. So he wants the freedom, he says, in order to practice like basically his way of life. And the Jedi are an obstacle to that, and the Jedi are opposed to that. It almost uh, I was wondering if what they were going for was that evil is a result of oppression. The Jedi should oppose you if you're a Sith because you guys are dedicated to destruction and death, control and domination. But I couldn't help wonder if there was a subtext, the subtext being that the oppression of the Sith was actually an injustice and that they just wanted to live the way of life they wanted to live, and it was because of the Jedi. And I thought that was possible. I wasn't sure if I was reading too much into it, but that oppression causing evil dynamic, I was wondering if that was sort of implied. And it made me think of Sauron in the Rings of Power, where Sauron becomes evil because Galadriel rebuffed his advances. So he's in effect an incel. It's like, I love you. You don't love me. I'm gonna be mad and sulk in my mountain and kill people now. So that was one thing I
Typical.
wasn't totally sold on his motive or exactly where he comes from or what he wants or why an acolyte's so important to him.
I read it the same way, in a very similar way, where it definitely felt like the oppression is what's breaking. Like he's a rebel to some extent, you know. The tables are turned. It's the Jedi are the Empire, and the Sith are the rebels. But like
Mhm.
you, I was like, well, who taught him then? Like, did he just learn the Force all by himself? There has to be someone else, right? There has to be other Sith then. And
Mhm.
the thing I didn't like about this, then, how does this tie in with the
Yes.
witches? You know,
That
where's the
you
connection there?
know,
I felt like they should just be Sith then, or he should just be uh one of the Brotherhood that's connected to those witches. You know, like they shouldn't be so where women and only women, no men allowed. There should have been maybe two different sects with two different reasons for being separated, and they come together for a certain cause. Like this right now feels too segregated for the witches and the Sith aspect, and that's not connecting whatsoever. But both have the same quarrel with the Jedi, which
Yeah.
is like, you guys aren't letting us practice our shit. You know, it's like, damn you Roman Catholics, let us be Muslim. You know, it's just, to some extent, you know, it's like that.
I'm wondering though, because there was that little hint where OSHA said my mom used to do that. She used to block
Mhm.
like our thoughts or something like
Yeah,
that. So maybe his teacher is their mom. I 'Cause the mom's coming back. I just have this feeling she's got it.
yeah,
Maybe she's like above, like she's above him. Maybe because they did throw that little hint in there. She's like, "Well, my mom used to do that, and then so why is this guy doing it too?" And like where he learned that from.
yeah. Just
So maybe
definitely
it will
going
all
back to that
connect.
episode where they did that to the Jedi, with Torben.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, that power
So
to invade another's mind, and poor Torben who just eyes turn black and he drinks poison after sulking for 10 years.
well, we were right about the cicadas coming back into play with the light.
Yeah.
You called it.
Although Yord forgot.
That
That
was
was weird
so
to me.
that was so stupid. I was just okay, okay, another thing that there were things in here with the editing and the script and everything like that where I was like, and that some things aren't making sense. But that when he's like, what's attracted to the light? It's like, what do you mean? It was just like earlier, like a few
Yeah, it
hours
happened
ago.
that day.
You were
That
there.
day.
And if Soul is a proper leader, he would say to them if Yor didn't hear or something like, hey guys, we cannot use light. Like, how did you not know or you forgot? Oh, and I was confused about May, and maybe there's something really complex going on, but May wanted to turn herself into the Jedi.
Yeah.
And then Jackie comes to arrest her. May could have said, hey,
Yeah.
I want to turn myself in. Did she do another switch? So she says she's loyal to Osha, and she's going to turn herself in. Was she lying? Did she change her mind? She's like, oh man, this Wookiee food stinks. There's no way I'm going to turn myself into these Jedi. Like, it's gross. So I was a little bit confused there. I mean, the fight with May and Jackie was cool. I liked it. I thought Jackie would probably have arrested May before saying her Miranda rights. Like with one cuff on, she's like,
Yeah.
"You're under the arrest." Like, that was cool. That was neat. Like the fight. But I was confused about what May was doing at that moment.
The whole
Same.
script for this episode was many moments of like the writers forgot what happened episode or episodes prior, and there was many lines like that. Like I within the same episode actually, we see a scene in this with during the fight scene of the Jedi and everything, and Osha's off to the side, and she watches Kamir injure Yord, and Yord's on the ground during that fight, and then they're going to run away, and she's like, "Oh, you're injured?" Like a question. It's like, yeah, you saw him get injured. Why are you questioning this? It goes like 5 seconds ago. Well, what's happening here? There was that. Like these, I had the May why May is fighting thing also. It's like, what you said you were gonna give yourself in. Why are you fighting? She had so many opportunities to be like, hey, I'm not fighting. I'm giving myself in, you know? Oh, I was like, why did Soul call Osha a civilian? Like the way
Okay.
so he's like, take the civilian to the ship. And he's like,
Okay.
he said, take the civilian. I was like, that's so weird. Why did he do that?
I thought that was weird, and then I was thinking about it and trying to come up with a defense for it. So the show has an overall forensic aspect to it and a legalism to it. So it's like we're the Jedi, we have these rules, and they're getting accused of breaking rules or how the rules are too oppressive or how they're too rigid and they're bound by these rules. So I think the idea was that they were in a dangerous situation, and in this situation, the rules call for the removal of civilians. And he didn't need, it's weird for him to say that. He doesn't need to say that, but I could see it making sense that Soul was using a formal way of speaking about what to do and was giving a command. So it's stressed to Yord, follows the rules. He's a rules boy, that your duty now is to remove the civilian from the threats. And so giving almost like a trigger command,
Yeah.
like it's still weird and I don't think should have been there, but I think it was highlighting the theme of the Jedi trying to follow rules, but the rules go too far and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I see it. It has to do with the rules given the combat situation, and he's talking to Yord, and Yord sees things in terms of rules. And then what does Yord do is he goes against that direct order very soon after to go back to save them. And I think to Yord's credit, ultimately, because it was the right decision. It seemed a little bit quick to me that he did that since he's such a lawful good paladin. But that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking with the civilian comment. I think it's the stressed legalism and it's to Yord. And it's highlighting something about Yord's character, and then Yord does the right thing, not the legal thing.
That's a good explanation. Very good, actually. I wrote
Yeah.
that down too because I didn't like it. Thought it was kind of,
It's still weird.
yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause I think what takes it out of the moment is that the two of those characters we've been established are so connected to Osha
Yes.
that I feel like they would have just addressed her as Osha, you know?
Yes.
And they haven't been, especially like how Soul has been with her and this whole situation go up until now. He hasn't been addressing her in that way. And same thing
100%.
Right.
with Yord too, so it just felt out of character for their in that moment. So I think maybe if they had been prior to that always addressing her as like a civilian and always treating her that way, then I think it would really hit harder. But
Oh, you're
since they
right.
hadn't,
I 100% agree it should have been that way, but I tried to defend it sort of too cerebrally. It's still like, even if what I'm saying makes sense, it still shouldn't have been that way.
yeah, no, it makes total sense what you said. Yeah, even to add on to that and think about it, like in everyone in this battle, she hasn't shown that her force sensitivity to be anything worthwhile. So as how they could see it, she's the weakest link here. So we have to get all the pawns off of the table,
Mhm.
because even May is still far more of a threat than Osha would be. So I think there's something to that effect also, where it's just like you don't belong on the battlefield at all. You got to get the hell out of here.
There's a couple things that I didn't like. Mostly it had to do with the flow and the editing and the back and forth from the scenes. Also, all the scene
Yeah.
transition, Star Wars things. Again, it was distracting. Takes me out of it. But there's also a lot of little like few second like filler scenes every now and then where I was just like, why did they show that? Like, why was that there? Like when it showed May and Osha like face to face for the first time, like they're gonna speak, they cut to like an outskirts of the mountains in the day, and they circle, and then they come back around, and then they shows them again, then they talk. I'm like, what was the point of that bit? Like
Hmm.
showing like the scenery, like they were just about to talk, and then you cut away for a minute and then came back and then they talked, but like they didn't go anywhere. It wasn't a new scene. Why'd they do that? Why was that there?
I
I
took
was
note
just
of
kind of
that.
like, did you?
Yes, because
Oh.
it's there's a big time issue with that scene. So how that scene plays out, Osha's with Soul, and Soul's about to tell her like everything, and then
Mhm.
May comes in and neutralizes him. So he's knocked out, and it's nighttime.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, right after she neutralizes him, you have that moment, like you said, like we're seeing the scenery, and
Yeah.
it's sunrise, and it looks like they're not even next to him anymore. And now they've like walked away for some reason, and May is just standing there, and then she drops the gun, and then they start talking. It's like, wait, how long were you guys just waiting to have this conversation? And now the sun is coming up. It's like that's a long time since it just
Yeah.
turned nighttime. It's like that whole transition made no sense. It's like, did you guys forget what was just happening and where we were and the time of day? Because that was so nonsensical to me.
They're waiting for the director, just standing there.
Well,
Oh, hmm.
it's almost like there should have been a commercial break or something. Like right when they're face to face, commercial break. When they come back from the commercial, it's like
Yeah.
the panning around and then. But it's
Hmm.
like, why not have instead, if it's supposed to have some sort of like drama or tension, like they were just face to face for so long without saying a word, show it, show that, show them like scared to talk to one another, like one's trying to intimidate the other one or something like that. Like I want to feel the tension, but it was just like weird scene. Same with them, May, so Osha, because it is May, and Soul walking to the ship, and there's she like stands and just like looks at the forest. I guess she's like thinking about May. Osha's still there, but it's just like there's these little scenes where I'm like, why did they even do this scene? They could have just cut to this part. It just felt weird.
It seems like there's a goldfish problem. Like, goldfish's memories are
Yeah,
like
yeah.
20 seconds. And so it's like staccato. It's like everyone knows what's going on. And then they, a couple of minutes go by and they kind of forget a little piece that just happened. And then it's kind of janky when it comes to the thread of memory.
Oh.
Boom,
Ooh, said it
boom.
again. Said it again. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of forgetting and there's a lot of changing of minds just like on a whim. Like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a failure in understanding like characters and their fullness and what it even means to be a person.
Yeah. There's no conviction, honestly.
Like
Mhm.
how one reasons through their feelings, even in a confused, struggling manner, and how memory plays a role in that.
Hey, anything else you guys didn't like or any notes you have or
Well, this is primarily about last episode, but it does connect to this one, which is that if you remember, I was super excited for a Wookiee Jedi, and there isn't a Wookiee Jedi in this show
Yeah.
because he dies off camera. And it was I get it, but it was a tease, man. I was like, I really wanted to see that.
well, and they really
Yeah.
teased it at the end of episode 3 too, when it
Yeah.
shows him and it shows him and it's like all epic and it's kind of like, ooh, he's gonna be in it now. He's gonna play a part. Nothing. What a waste. What was the point even of that? Like, of him? Just sad.
Yeah, because like even the other two Jedi had something. Like Torburn didn't do anything, but at the same time he kind of did. Like just seeing him be there meditating and his force ball of protection, there's
Mhm.
something there. Like it had us talking, it had us coming up with speculations. Like we created a whole storyline just for that, you know. For
Yep.
this, there's no storyline for this guy.
The
There's nothing.
one
No.
storyline other than his cooking is the runes or the diagrams on his wall.
Oh yeah.
That's the one, but it was very quick and we don't, I
Yeah.
think, get a sense of what it is. Do those runes or diagrams or whatever connect to the witches?
There was the witch one that the May has that tattoo on her forehead. That was on the was one of the rune things on the wall on his wall. They focus
And
on.
Soul
Okay.
left with May slash Osha.
Yeah.
They're on the
Yeah,
ship.
yeah.
So no one investigated that room, right? And those runes
No.
or symbols.
No.
That's where it was very quick, when we saw them. That's where maybe they could have given the Wookiee some role to play
Hmm.
that we can kind of think about, is if we knew what he was doing, why he was, out in the jungle, like maybe he was secretly dabbling in this thread or something like that.
Like if he was attempting to use that way of the Force, that could have
Yeah,
been something
Wookiee
interesting.
babies.
Hmm.
These want some Wookiee baby, like something like
Uh,
that, where he has what he discovered in his hermitage helps us understand the world better.
yeah, that'd be really dope. I still have the main big question. Why does no one know what Sith are?
Oh yeah.
Like why? Like even as he said, what you might know as a Sith, he didn't really react in a big way to it. Either he should have reacted like, "What is that?" Or he could have been like, "But they haven't been around for this millennia." Like there should have been some kind of response either way, and it was just kind of like just left there, like nothing.
Yeah.
And even like as like I said, the question of like, what is it? What are they? It's like, oh, you have a weapon of a Jedi. It's like, what Jedi do you know has a red lightsaber?
That's
Red
another thing too.
lightsabers are only go to the Sith. And it's like, how did you
Hmm.
not know that as a Jedi Master? Like, granted, you guys don't practice it, you don't permit it, but you should still be aware of it. Like this absence of knowledge of the Sith is mind blowing. And after watching last week's episode, and I forget, I'll never remember this guy's name, but he was in the prequels in the scenes with like the council, and he's the guy who said specifically the Sith haven't been around for thousands of years. He's in that scene, doesn't bring up the Sith, doesn't say a word. It's like, like, did you guys watch the prequels? They're real, they happened. It's like no one wants to give the Sith their due. So a part of me was kind of happy to hear him use the word the Sith, because I thought we were never
Yeah.
going to hear it, you know. But it's just like it fell on deaf ears for some reason.
Yeah, the big debate over Mundy's, I think it's Mundi or Mundy, I believe, that cone-headed dude,
Yeah,
and his comment in the prequels about, yeah, like you said, that's impossible. The Sith haven't been around for no one's heard of the Sith for a millennia.
yeah,
And wouldn't Soul radio in immediately? There's Sith here, or whatever the Sith is. And
yeah.
well, I guess we'll find that out next
He better do it
episode.
when he gets on the ship. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
immediately, like you pick up, you text, you know, the Jedi, yeah, there's Sith here. Don't tell Mundy though, so he can say that line in the prequels 100 years later.
I will say something that stuck out to me too. Like, and it's not that big of a deal. I think this could be signed off as something with just like Saul being in his emotions right now.
Hmm.
But the fact that he couldn't just sense that Osha is May.
Yeah,
Like May has dark intentions at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
she's not working in the line of the light side. So I feel like he should be able to sense that, even if he's in his emotions. He's like, you're force sensitive, dude. Like you're the master of this group. You can't kind of tell that something's off with her.
I just feel like Soul isn't great. Like he's not a
No.
great Jedi
no,
Master. Like why
no.
why are they so like fumbly and don't know very much and they're just kind of like I don't know. I just find there's a lot of stuff with the show where the writing is very sloppy and a lot of the acting just isn't great. Pamir's cool. I like him. I kind of want to see I still feel like the mom's going to come back and be something more evil, I'm thinking. And but yeah, there's just I feel like there's good things in this show, especially in this episode, that if it was just handled a little differently and maybe there was a couple of recasts, it could be something much better. We get what we get these days. Thank you, Disney.
I was annoyed that Jackie didn't pick up her destroyed lightsaber.
That was the other guy's lightsaber, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't she throw one down?
Yeah, the one that was damaged, that belonged to the Wookiee.
Regardless, I don't think you would leave a lightsaber on like that. Maybe you're
No,
gonna get it
no.
later. There's probably fragments of kyber crystal.
Hmm.
Like this is an important weapon.
Yeah.
Should be recovered.
It would also be like the equivalent of dog tags to a
Oh.
Jedi. It's like with like a warrior or a soldier.
You calling a Wookiee a dog?
If it smells like one, just saying, all right?
Ask Basil.
Did this episode make you guys more excited for the next one? Are you a little more interested and invested at all, or just the lightsaber scenes were cool? Like, what do you think?
Lightsaber scenes were pretty cool. I feel more invested in Kamir's story. I do feel,
Uh-huh.
even though if it still is kind of out of left field to some extent, where they've ignored now the witches and now we're on a new thing. I'm just curious how that ties together and what that really connects to and leads to. Hopefully, I also want to see how the backlash of this turns out. Like a lot of Jedi just died right now. It's like I was saying last episode. It's like, how long can you keep the secret? Now you got to kind of start saying something. People are gonna be like, "Hey, we are down like 15 Jedi. What's going on?" You know, someone's gonna expect something.
I'm totally, I wouldn't say looking forward to, but like curious about how this plays out.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of Marie Plays It All, episode 5 review of The Acolyte. You can find more of our content on our YouTube channel, Not a Strong Start. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Not a Strong Start. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share and comment, all that good stuff. And you can follow me on Instagram at Marie Plays It All. Where can we find you, George?
You can follow me at Nicolopoulos on Twitter and Instagram.
Never stop playing and never stop Jedi shish kebabbing. Just roast them.